in your rally and looking, you had 6 speakers beforehand. Very few people mentioned the customs union. I mean, Anne Widdecombe went into the most detail, as I remember. Very few people mentioned the single market. Very few people mentioned.
I did.
You did, but you didn't focus on the detail.
No.
And is it a case that actually, for you in this campaign, you don't think the detail matters?
This campaign is about democracy, it's about trust, and about the competent. And basically, Theo, I would say this to you. I think people have had enough of being given all sorts of economic arguments. They now just want to leave, and the sooner the better. Just to leave, and once we've resolved this, we get on with the rest of our lives.
It's our decisions to be carried out.
And this is people don't want to be bogged down with detail. They want the promise that was made to them kept. That's what this campaign is.
Here's the deal, you guys. Where do you get your news from?
LBC.
LBC?
A lot. Yes. Well, except between 10 and 1 o'clock.
10 o'clock at what? We'll move on from that. Facebook? So do you get it from where?
BBC.
You get it from the BBC?
What we don't get it from is printed mainstream media.
You don't read newspapers?
No, but
I read it.
we don't take it serious.
I do.
I read articles.
What do you read?
What do you read? The Times.
I read the Mail, but
You
I
read the
take
Mail?
it with a pinch of salt.
So did you like the Mail?
I always take the first few pages with a pinch of salt.
And what about, do you like the BBC?
And I think you've got a bad deal on
Why not?
Andrew Marr.
You don't like Andrew Marr?
Biased Broadcasting Corporation.
The Andrew Marr interview yesterday was an absolute classic, absolute classic, and you know, to think that we're paying for that as taxpayers is absolutely
And I think you
disgusting.
handled it very well.
Yeah.
Because I've got. But did you on the Andrew Marr interview?
Yeah.
He asked you about previous comments. Now you've got a candidate in the Peterborough by-election. It's fair to say this campaign isn't just about the European elections. You want to take it much further. Isn't he justified, therefore? Isn't he justified, therefore?
LBC is a commercial station, right? These folk,
they don't pay for it.
Can choose to listen to LBC,
they can listen to you,
or they haven't got to. It's a commercial radio station. The BBC, effectively, we're taxed 150 quid a year that goes to the BBC.
The licence fee, yeah.
The licence fee. People like Andrew Marr get 400 grand a year from these people's money. And here's my complaint. My complaint is, up until the last 3 or 4 days, at no point in the last month has any representative from the Brexit Party appeared on Question Time, appeared on any questions, appeared on the Marr programme, appeared on any major programme. And what's fascinating also, Theo, I've been going around the country doing events like this. We never see the BBC there. So number one,
the BBC is here today.
Number one, I said up until last Thursday. Yeah. So here's my criticism: you've got a brand new political movement that's come from nothing and is leading the polls. I would have thought on the first big interview on television, it might have been interesting to find out how and why that had happened, who the candidates were, and I'm more than prepared to accept every criticism of people we've got, of disputes that may occur in the future between people on the left or the right. All of that would have been fair game. To come up with a series of half quotes from things I said up to 10 years ago that have no direct relevance on what's happening next.
But you're a bigger figure now. You're a bigger figure now in British politics than you were 6 months ago.
We have a national election next Thursday, and they refuse to talk about it. That's my complaint.
But the BBC...
And also, may I say, for Marr to have said that I did not talk about no deal during the referendum campaign is simply untrue. I first used it on June the 8th in the ITV head-to-head debate with the Prime Minister David Cameron, and I used it throughout. So not only that, it was wrong as well.
But the BBC, and I work for a commercial station, but the BBC is a flogging horse for populist campaigns. It has been previously. Alex Salmond singled it out in 2014 in the Scottish independence referendum, just as Donald Trump singles out CNN. Actually, when you look at the views, I looked at your Twitter. I looked at your Twitter. You had from the version you had of your exchanges with Andrew Marr. You had 800,000 views on your Twitter, and you had another 300,000 on your Facebook page. That's at least double the number of people who tuned in to watch Andrew Marr.
Well, Theo, so
you're the winner. That's my point.
Well, that all may be true, but can I just say this? You know, I've been in elected politics for 20 years.
Yes.
You know, I have never before, ever before, in any interview, taken the attitude that I took yesterday. Not once, ever. I've always been prepared. I accept...
Which makes it seem a little bit strange.
I accept... Well, strange, bizarre, that ludicrous line of questioning persisted all the way through. The idea was to use up all the time talking about irrelevancies and inaccuracies rather than talking about a major national election taking place next Thursday. And that's why I took the attitude that I did. I've never done it before, and I hope I never have to do it again.
You smashed him, Nigel. And then when you do get in, what happens then?
Well, what happens then is we demand, if we win this, we demand that representatives of the Brexit Party have a say in the next stage of this process. I think we need wholesale political change. We've got to change politics for good.
So that's candidates in a general election
absolutely,
en masse?
Absolutely. The system is rotten. It doesn't work.
And would you stand?
They have betrayed our trust. I'm going to have to, of course.
You stand again for the 8th time?
Of course.
It's another question. Would you... If, let's say you got, because I think some polling is putting you at 50% if there's 50 seats, I should say, if there's a general election tomorrow. No, let's see. But let's say you got 50 seats. Would you form a coalition with one of the major parties to get Brexit over the line? If Jeremy Corbyn, because this is a pertinent question, if you had 50 seats and Jeremy Corbyn comes to you and he says, I desperately want to be Prime Minister, Nigel Farage, which he won't. But let's say the next Tory Prime Minister comes to you and says, I desperately want to be, or the next Tory leader says, I desperately want to be Prime Minister Nigel Farage. Would you do a deal, and it's more likely going to be the Conservative leader, would you deal with the Conservative leader to make them Prime Minister to get your Brexit?
If we could save 39 billion, come out of the customs union, come out of the single market, come out of the jurisdiction of the European Court of Justice and be a genuinely independent, self-governing democracy that could choose its own future, I'd do a deal with the devil to get that.
Just to go back to the question I'm making, because members of the ERG, the European Research Group within the Conservative Party, when we went back to February, March time, the issue they had was the Northern Irish backstop. You're naming a higher price.
It's not a high price.
A higher price.
We voted for independence. We voted to be a free nation. That is what the referendum was about. That is what Article 50 was put into law for. In the absence of a withdrawal agreement, we were to leave under British law on the 29th of March. It is that that has been betrayed. It's that that I've always fought for, and it's that that I'll go on fighting for.
Nigel Farage, thank you very much. It's Featherstone, Working Men's Club. Thank you.
Very good. Well done, everybody. It was great. Very interesting. Very interesting.